sponsored by Mike and Ike.
Yeah, dude, that sounds good too. All right, and we're good.
Very good.
Well, hello there.
Hi.
Sorry, there's the full screen. I could not find where the full screen gimmick was to make it full screen. Sorry. What up, Jeremy?
What up? How's everybody
Matt
doing?
Jones? Very well.
I enjoyed our Subway conversation. We talked about taxes. We talked about the government knows everything already about you, so might as well not try to stop them.
Well, that's the funny thing is talking about that, and it's like, oh, we're gonna put a thing on YouTube where it's just out there.
Right.
So
here's more of our information for free,
right?
Unsolicited.
Of course.
And the one thing I will say about Google and YouTube is I don't know. There's no face to that company. You know, you think of all the the tech companies out there have like a face, right? You got like Meta and Mark Zuckerberg. You got Elon with Twitter. You got Jeff Bezos. You know, back in the day, I guess you have Satya Nadella now with Microsoft, but Google could be. There used to be like a Sergey guy, I think.
Sergey
But other than
Brin,
that,
I think.
Sergey Brin, yeah. But I don't even know if he's still there.
Yeah,
Like,
I don't know what he did
Chris
either.
Martin, I have no idea. So anyway, just thought that was interesting about Google. It's like maybe it's because there's not like that face I can put to it and be like that punchable face I want to punch so bad. Like it's like, Google's all right. So
yeah.
Anyway, thank you for hosting us, Google, on YouTube.
Well, that's great. Yeah, man. What a steal that was back then when they bought the YouTubes.
Oh man,
it was nothing. It was nothing what it became. Like I don't even know if it was monetized back then. When
I
they
don't
bought
know.
it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Sorry, I cannot seriously talk tech because I don't know anything about it. But yeah, whatever. I mean, Google, like everyone has. I'd say 85% of the people I know or come into contact with here or at work have a Gmail address. So it's like, you know, everyone's just.
There's those weirdos with the Yahoo addresses that you're just like, all right, come on, what's the deal? What's the story here? Why Yahoo?
I mean, I guess
have mine.
I still have mine too, but it's not your lead off, right? It's like if somebody asks for your email address, that's not the one you give them.
But here's my
Unless
question.
I don't want to hear from them.
Here's my question to you, though. I still use a lot, and I'm sure you guys do too. Maybe not just at work, but you know, full PC or Mac based like email. Like I'll get on my Gmail account, so like I haven't been on a Yahoo or any Hotmail for decades. So what's their interface look like? Because I leaned to Gmail because it worked so well. Like it was same thing with like Chrome. Like remember Firefox? Do people still use Firefox? That was really? Okay. Like I remember that took over from whatever Internet Explorer, and then Chrome basically came in, worked well, integrated with everything. It's like, all right. Haven't had it.
At work I use Edge because Edge is, I think, Chromium based. It's like based off the same thing, and it works perfectly fine.
Is that Microsoft?
Yeah.
Not
it's
Internet
like
Explorer
a replacement for Internet Explorer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have some things at work that only like you can open it in Chrome, but it probably something will go wrong, or you'll get the whatever, and you got to click through advanced security or whatever. Edge works for, but then the funny thing is Edge doesn't work for everything either. So I use both of them every day.
I forgot that they had like Microsoft has its proprietary email, right? That's the Edge. No, I'm not email. Web browser, and
Bing.
Everything is built around Microsoft now, right? Like as far as like almost every company, it's like you got to have Microsoft Teams. Like every place I've worked in the past 5 years, it's you have to know how to it's not just like Microsoft Word anymore. You have to use Teams and Pages and this, that, and the other. So it makes sense that everything just links up with Edge.
Yeah. My sister works at a Google school. She teaches, and they use everything is Google based. Okay. So they must have something like a Microsoft Teams for Google. I don't know.
Share, I think it's called.
I don't know. Yeah,
because I was just on it with Dave the other day.
Because I use OneNote, I use Outlook,
OneNote. Thank you.
Teams and SharePoint. I think Microsoft owns SharePoint.
Yep. I've had to use that before. I do not like OneNote. I cannot figure it out.
It's growing on me. I'm using it right now.
I've seen people that use it and like they use it really well, and I'm
Sure.
like, man, that would be a really smart way to use this, because I have like these notebooks and I just write stuff down in
Yeah.
like pen and paper. And I'm like, this would probably be better to do in OneNote, and I never use it.
We
Like
do
I
we
do it
do a
for
lot
my
of shared
staff
OneNote,
meetings.
like meeting notes and stuff. So like
Yeah,
my team has
yeah.
access to this one OneNote page or whatever. Well, this segment is not
Speaking of
sponsored,
OneNote,
not sponsored by Microsoft.
Five
Um,
minutes and 17 seconds, no problem. We're good.
What's on my OneNote screen right now
Yeah,
is a
yeah.
film called Bull Durham. And that's what we're talking about this week. Released in 1988, directed by Ron Shelton, written by Ron Shelton, also writer of Bad Boys 2,
Okay.
Blue
I actually
Chips,
saw that one.
Tin Cup,
Why didn't I
White
do
Men
Blue
Can't
Chips?
Jump, Hello,
Wow.
and several others, but I tried to pick some highlights. Yeah, interesting movie. And I think I got to lead off tonight before we get into anything. Troy, this message is for you.
Oh, okay.
What episode would this have been mentioned of on BP&J?
Oh man, 17, of course.
I think you're right.
What do we bring it up about? Now I can't remember.
Well, this is a commonly held belief of mine that it's probably controversial that baseball movies are better than baseball.
Oh, I know this about you. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think this is another prime example of a great, well, I don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse, but I think this is a fantastic baseball movie.
Agreed.
And I have no desire to watch the season that transpired in the movie, but a movie about that season, sure.
Right. I'd like to watch both, but yeah. And you guys had not seen, either of you had seen this, right?
I thought I had, and I had not.
Which is cool. I say I haven't seen it until pretty recently. Past 5 years, I'm guessing as well. Which, I'm not the biggest Kevin Costner fan, despite loving at one point in time, and I think I still do the that Robin Hood movie. But yeah, man,
That's a good point. I should probably bring up. That'd be a good thing to start doing.
what's that?
I say directed by, written by, and then nothing else. But maybe talking about the cast as well would be good.
Sure. Well, we do that in the midst of it. I was just gonna say, crap. Now I just lost it again. I'm always waiting. I'm always waiting for the list of, this would be somebody I know about who, as far as the writer director, he's done all these things. Like, I had no idea, but I'm, like I say, I couldn't wait for you to bring it up, so I didn't have to look it up. But
yeah,
and it hung true. I was like, oh wow, I've heard of all of those movies.
Yeah, and I've never heard of Ron Shelton.
No, right. I couldn't. Right.
Yeah. So starring Kevin Costner. Now, I would not consider myself a hardcore Kevin Costner fan either. You just said the same, Troy. I don't know how you feel, Bumja, but while I'm not a hardcore Kevin Costner fan, you go through his filmography. Mm-hmm. He's in so many good movies. In fact, I would say of the movies I've seen of his, it's probably like 80% of them I like.
Did we do Untouchables on here yet?
Not yet.
Oh, next week, though. No. I've got that. And that's when I've seen that even more recently for the first time than this Bull Durham. And I would love to watch that again, and really, because I don't remember liking it nearly as much as this. But Sean Connery's in it, right?
Yeah.
And Robert De Niro.
Yeah, oh yeah. Wow. De Niro's in it.
Okay. Yeah. All right, sorry.
I remember Kevin Costner being pretty bland in that movie, though. I don't know why, but he's not. I don't think he's as good in that as he is in this. He's definitely much better at this.
There's 3 brands of Kevin Costner. I think you've got spicy Kevin Costner, which is this.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Then you've got bland Kevin Costner, and then you've got nice guy that everyone loves, Kevin Costner. Field of Dreams, maybe. I don't know. I haven't seen that in a while. I would say like spicy Kevin Costner is Robin Hood. I think spicy Kevin Costner is fun. He's kind of he wisecracks. He's like, you know what? I don't care if you all have an English accent. I'm not doing that. I'm gonna play spicy Kevin Costner, and you're all gonna love it. And we all did.
For some reason, I still think, and I can't remember. I thought one of you guys brought it up, but Alan Rickman in that movie kind of plays a big role of like why it's so good. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, if that was somebody else, it might not have. I said, I don't know. I think I had I might have owned that DVD at one point in time. So
Alan Rickman might be the greatest villain actor of our lifetime. You know, like, not saying he can't play a good guy, but you think about the villains, and I know Severus Snape is kind of a villain. But you think about the villains he's played with Hans Gruber, the sheriff of Nottingham, not Voldemort, Severus Snape. I'm sure there's others.
Yeah.
He's so good at playing those roles. He's not in this movie.
No, and I haven't seen Dogma for a long time, but I remember loving him in Dogma. And I remember really liking that movie, but I soured on Kevin Smith so much, I guess for no real good reason, that I don't know if I'd still like it.
Alan Rickman, great in Galaxy Quest.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
agreed. That's a great movie. That is a really good.
Yeah.
I saw it for the first time in the last couple of years too. Sorry, Jeremy.
No, you're
Derailed.
good. So Kevin Costner. We got Susan Sarandon and Tim Robbins. This is, I think, very much an era of actors.
Is this? Did you know? Is this when they were together? Correct? Married?
Oh, I don't know about that.
I think they were.
That's
thought
not
they
my
were at some
unverified
point.
fun fact.
Really? Okay. Because I was wondering. Because I thought they were. I was wondering if this is the movie they met on, or if they were already an item.
Oh, they didn't actually get married. They were partners for 21 years.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
They were common law married.
That's a substantial amount of time for me to understand, or to think that. Okay.
Just the great time for an unverified fun fact.
Yeah, please.
Although Kevin Costner plays the older, more experienced ball player, in real life he's only 3 years older than Tim Robbins at 33 and 30 in this movie. And during filming, Susan Sarandon was actually 42. So you got Susan Sarandon being 12 years older, which actually kind of aligns in the movie. But I think Kevin Costner is supposed to be closer in age to Robin's
her.
character than
Maybe he
is.
like older women.
I mean, Tim Robbins clearly does.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, good for her. I mean, that's something I might bring up eventually, but just like something I loved about this is the casting, and you couldn't do this today. You wouldn't cast a 40-year-old woman seducing 30-something-year-old men. It would be, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I guess you would have to because that's what the story is, but they would have younger
Jennifer
actors.
Lawrence is probably going to be in her 40s soon. So, you know, it's kind of funny because I always think of Susan Sarandon as like an older, attractive woman who usually plays like dignified, smart, sharp characters.
The client.
She's always been, in my lifetime, an older woman.
Right.
But I mean, 42, it's like kind of pretty close to my age. Just saying, like, might be my age.
Yeah.
I don't know. Let's see here. How old is Jennifer Lawrence? The reason I bring her up is because, okay, she's not even close, but she's
How old is
34.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, we will get to that point where like Anne Hathaway, she's probably approaching 40 now.
I'd guess. Yeah.
And like a lot of these actresses that, I don't know, you think of like Susan Sarandon was once a young
Anne Hathaway.
Well,
Anne Hathaway, 42.
I mean,
look at that.
They might cast her in this seducing Thor. Who's the guy that plays
40.
Thor?
Yeah, that's true.
Chris Hemsworth.
Chris Hemsworth. Thank you. Because he's like probably 32. He would be the. I don't know why we're recasting the remake of Bull Durham right now, but okay. I appreciate that because now I'm kind of buying that. Like, okay, Scarlett Johansson.
41.
Who?
Chris Hemsworth's 41.
Oh, well, who's a 32-year-old actor then?
Probably Tom Holland. He's probably not even 30 yet, is he?
Okay.
I was gonna say Miles Teller, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. Who's a Kevin Costner right now, though? Would that be
At
what's his
32,
face?
Ryan
Guardians
Reynolds?
of the Galaxy in every movie.
Chris Pratt.
Chris Pratt. Is he Kevin Costner now?
I mean, different career trajectories, I would say, but yeah, probably. It's the problem is that this type of movie is not. I don't know how much they make these types of movies anymore.
Yeah.
You
Sure.
know?
On Netflix now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of fun though. This has been a fun exercise for my brain because whoever just said Chris Pratt, I think that works great because he kind of goes from like skinny fit guy to kind of like schlubby guy, so he can kind of play that. Okay, he's at the end of his career, he's in the minors, But then you could have who's the guy from Dune, like some real young
Timothy Chalamet.
kid that's the hot pitcher that's
one day Timothy Chalamet will be doing Kevin Costner roles.
Sure. Oh yeah,
and we'll be like 70. I mean, it's probably will happen.
Still doing this, and we'll be talking. We can talk about movies that came out this year, like Dune 2.
Well, we finally are able to talk about Independence Day 7.
I would watch Independence Day resurgence for this show. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Well, Bull Durham, a fan who has an affair with one minor league baseball player each season meets an up and coming pitcher and the experienced catcher assigned to him.
It seems like that's kind of downplaying her role on this minor league team as just a fan.
Mm-hmm. I would agree.
She's an institution, right? She's not a fan. She's an institution. Like, oh yeah, she understands enough about baseball to give pointers about how to pitch and how to do those things. So
yeah,
but coaches all know her.
I thought a lot of because I mean I hadn't seen this before, so I hate to compare it to like a newer movie, but I thought of Kate Hudson's character in Almost Famous a lot. She's like a groupie for the band, but she like loves the band and she follows them. Yes, she sleeps with people in the band, but she's like genuinely dedicated her whole life to this band. That's what I thought of, but I don't know.
That's a movie I've only seen once. I liked it. I need to see it again. And I don't know why I avoided it for so long, but that's another movie I saw 20 years after it came out because somebody wanted to watch it. And I was like,
it was a very popular, like, this is my favorite movie kind of movie for a while. Like it was, everybody talked about it and it did kind of get a little annoying.
What year did that come out? Do you like late 90s? Oh, wow. That late. Okay.
When did you say, Runja?
It was like 2004 or something.
Okay.
Maybe it's earlier than that.
No way to know.
2000. It was 2000.
Okay.
Yeah, earlier than I thought.
Back when we used to see Billy Crudup in movies.
Yeah, I probably saw it in like 2011 or 12. Okay, cool. Interesting.
I can get into some unconfirmed facts if you'd like.
Sure.
Oh, yes.
I don't have a ton for this movie because a lot of them were on the same vein. And that is the first fun fact. Mr. Ron Shelton played 5 seasons of minor league for the Orioles farm team, the Rochester Red Wings. So this movie is largely, I don't want to get too far into it, but like my takeaway from this movie is this is kind of a salute to all the baseball players who've grinded for years and years and years and always had that dream of making the majors and they wouldn't quite get there. It like gives me a lot of respect for like the farm system and like they are professional athletes, but none of them are rich. Unless they're people like Nuke. We'll call him Tim Robbins. I can't call him by Crash and all that. So yeah, I really like that. But it's cool that the writer of the movie like lived that life.
Semi-autobiographical.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes we have entry level positions. Like I'm a manager of entry level people, and I always find it funny. Like a lot of times we get really upset. It's like, oh man, this person's really good, and they're already leaving. And I'm like, I kind of make the analogy. It's like, yeah, we're like minor league. We're like minor league coaches. You're not going to have the same. You're going to have different people come in and have the same issues trying to grow up before they can get into the majors. But theoretically, you mold them and you shape them, and they're good, and then you send them off, and now you got a new. It's just like a recurring thing. And so
you have people that are never going to make it. Also,
you got people that aren't going to make it. People that'll stay in the minors for a long period of time. Just because
that is a great analogy. Wow.
But yeah, so I liked that. I liked that aspect of seeing a little bit more of, that minor league and seeing like, oh yeah, Crash.
Are you the Susan Sarandon at work?
No, I'm not. I don't sleep with new hires.
That would trying to get your best performers in their best place.
Yeah. It is kind of like a big, like I appreciated like seeing like Crash. Like I don't want to have the glory of hitting the most home runs in the minor leagues because that's like I was really good at being mediocre kind of thing, or that's kind of the thought. So I appreciated a lot of the different aspects. A lot of times you get stuff that's just about Major League Baseball players or
Yeah.
any sports are usually Major League something or other, or it's like kids playing sports, and you don't awfully get a lot of the minor league stuff, a little bit more of the
And to your point, you
inside
don't.
baseball, if you will.
Yeah, and you don't often get a sports movie where the team that's featured the whole movie is mostly not very good, almost the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like I
Well,
don't
Major League.
don't they like do they make a play at the end or something, don't they? Spoilers.
Well, they I think they win the pennant, which
Yeah.
went more back then. But I mean, the beginning of the year they were like dead last, and then they go on a hot streak for the last 35 games or something, which
Yeah.
is just a montage.
Right.
So,
But like, ending of the movie alert for those that are listening, but like the movie ends with the veteran player leaving the team to be replaced by a younger person and their best player going to the major leagues. So like the team was not going to the World Series or anything. I don't know.
but I mean, we're getting to the very end of the movie, knowing any timestamps. That's not what the movie is really about.
No, you're right.
Because what really does happen in the end is exactly what, I mean, not to be a sappy person for me, is like absolutely what I wanted. And I mean, it got very emotional for myself, which is goofy because I don't know, Susan Sarandon's like, it's a really good actor, which is like dumb because I know both of those. They're both big faces. Like, I don't know. I got lost in it. So yeah, not about base. It's not about baseball, Jeremy. That's why you like it because baseball's about baseball.
But baseball movies are a good like shell to put a good story in also too.
Because it's a good sport.
Like, yeah, you can't do that with, someone getting sacked 37 times. I mean, there's a reason why we don't have very many football movies. And I don't think it's kind of like baseball movies function like we were talking about with Fistful of Dollars being a good shell for like, you can put a love story. You could kind of make a, I don't know, Moneyball is a like an intrigue, almost suspense movie. I don't know. I'm making this up as I go. I didn't have this.
I watched
out
Bang the Drum Slowly. I watched a movie called Bang the Drum Slowly, which stars Michael Moriarty because I've been doing the Law and Order rerun, and he's like the first head prosecutor, the ADA,
or ADA,
Ben Stone, and it's Robert De Niro, and his character gets like he's a baseball player and he gets cancer, but or he has cancer to start off, and then it's like Ben the Michael Moriarty character is like a pitcher, and so it's their relationship, but it's also about like the team and being on the road and like, oh, our team, like we have the talent to be really good, but we suck because everybody's ragging on each other and nobody like cares about each other, and so we don't have like team unity, and so it's interesting, and like this is way back, and this is like the 70s, so like one of the guys is supplementing his income by selling insurance to like life insurance to the other players on the team, and I'm like, yeah, I don't think you're going to see a lot of Shohei going out there and selling life insurance to the other Dodgers to kind of supplement his salary. So it's always the baseball is interesting.
We'll probably get
right, it is a good framework.
Is that Shohei Ohtani that got busted with the gambling situation? Do I have the players?
His interpreter.
Yeah.
Right.
Jeremy.
Right. I'm sure it was all his interpreter. That'd be
funny because there was a Law and Order episode where a guy pretended like he was the one gambling through his dad. So that because he killed his dad because his dad was trying to take more money from him. And so it's like there's anything in real life that has happened. Yeah. It's been a Law and Order episode.
Yeah.
Troy knows.
I mean, I'd watch you guys' podcast talking about every episode.
I wish I would have started that before. I'm now on season 6, and it's going to be it'd be a lot of time to go back and watch the.
And there's already like that podcast already exists too.
Sure
I think it's called "These Are Their Stories."
Oh, is it?
There's definitely one called that. But
I should go back.
Yeah,
and listen to that
it's like every great podcast idea you can come up with now is either there's already 1,000 of this, or someone's already doing it like a specific thing better.
Yeah.
But no one is watching old movies are old.
Yeah, nobody. Nobody.
First one. All right, other fun facts here. They wanted Anthony Michael Hall over Tim Robbins initially. And I
I
would
could
say,
see that.
like, honestly, Tim Robbins is, I don't know, we can talk about that now. Tim Robbins is good in this. I don't think he's like instrumental to whether the movie works or not. It's like you kind of need a big dum dum. And I like Tim Robbins in a lot of movies. I don't think his performance is particularly incredible compared to Sarandon and Costner, at least for me. I don't know, what do you guys think?
Let me put it this way, he of the three leads, he's the most replaceable. I can
Yeah.
see. I don't think Anthony Michael Hall, because Anthony Michael Hall's like a small guy.
No,
I
he grew.
think.
He remember him in Edward Scissorhands. He's like the big boyfriend, bully guy. That's Winona Ryder's boyfriend. He like turned into this big beefy dude.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes more sense. Then.
After what's the Breakfast Club movie?
Okay. Yeah, I guess I didn't realize he might have been super young then.
He's done SNL.
What's that?
He was on SNL, I think, for like a very short amount of time.
Really?
Oh, really?
Wow.
Yeah, I think he was in like the season where they like had like people on for one season, and it turned like most of them grew up. Like I think Julia Louis-Dreyfus was in there, Christopher Guest was in there, like a whole bunch of rando people. You're like, wait, what? Like Robert Downey Jr. was on SNL. Like there's a whole bunch of weirdos that were like on weird names that you're like, I don't believe they were on SNL, and they were. So
Yeah.
let me see, Anthony Michael.
Well, to your point, Jeremy, like I was sitting here just trying to do like a brainstorm, like who else would I put in that role? Because I mean, again, I think Susan Sarandon and Kevin Costner just have too good of chemistry, like throughout and at the end. But I could see somebody else like Dana Carvey or something, like just somebody random like that playing the Tim Robbins.
Brendan Fraser
Sure.
would like work just fine there.
The Scout.
I mean, he'd
good
actually
movie.
be great.
I
Yeah,
haven't
that's
seen
true.
that movie for 20 years, but I
I've
remember
never seen that
liking The
movie.
Scout with Albert Brooks, I think.
Yeah, and I just did a quick Google. Well, okay, we'll move on from there. Let's see here. Kurt Russell helped Ron Shelton develop the script and was originally penciled into play Crash. The part went to Costner. After the film was made, Russell was so impressed he actually wrote fan letters to Costner and Shelton. Which is pretty awesome. And I could definitely see Kurt Russell in this role too.
Yeah. That was, I being a huge Kurt Russell mark. Well, actually, I take that back. I think I would prefer Kevin Costner in this. He just because Kurt Russell's just like too cool. Sorry, like he's just. I mean, unless they really like ugly. No, I don't want to say uglied him up because Kevin Costner's not an ugly man, but like if you look at Kurt Russell in what the movies around then, like Escape from New York and or I guess that was a lot long before this.
Thing.
Big Trouble in Little China. What's that?
Thing.
The Thing.
Around this time. Kurt Russell.
Yeah.
Captain Ron.
He's too like leading guy. Like you wouldn't buy him in The Miners, but Kevin Costner, you kind of can.
Kevin Costner, like he has the like everyday look. He's a good looking guy. He looks athletic, but you also could imagine seeing him at Target.
Yeah. I think I did. Wearing a polo.
Speaking of which, Ron Shelton cast Kevin Costner because of the actor's natural athleticism. He was a former high school baseball player and was able to hit 2 home runs while the cameras were rolling. And according to Shelton, insisted on throwing runners out even when the cameras weren't rolling. That's great. I love that. That's a nice detail. That tells me
real
Costner
method actor.
Yeah, really. He's really committed.
Well, and how much more fun that must be than being and like I mean, not that JFK, and I've not seen JFK, wasn't a fun thing, but like okay, we have to do that scene over again in the courtroom. Like oh, we have to do that speech again. It's like compared to oh, we get to pretend like we're playing baseball, and it just always kind of works like playing catch and getting paid a lot of money to do it. I bet.
Yeah, the funny thing for Kevin Costner for me about this role is that he like drops F-bombs, and I know I've seen Mr. Brooks, which I think is like a rated R movie, and I'm sure he drops F-bombs in that. But like most of the roles with Kevin Costner, I am not expecting F bombs, and he just goes all in, and I'm just like, there you go. So it just catches me off guard a little bit,
That's a
and I
good
like
time
it.
to bring up the language in this movie because I knew it was rated R. This movie is a pretty hard R for the language. Like, and it's not just F bombs like F in this. It's like explicit sexual use of F
Oh yeah.
bombs throughout. And I was almost taken aback by that because it's not that common anymore to have that unless it's like, I don't know, Seth Rogen's in it or something. Like this could be argued that this movie's almost well, it's not a rom-com, but it has rom-com elements, you could say.
I, I'll bring it up right now. I didn't remember from seeing this before, like how much there was of that. I mean, I knew there was the romance because she's choosing between them and goes with Tim Robbins and stuff. But yeah, like at the end, it all wraps up and there's just like 10-minute sex scene like all over the house. I was like, what the hell is going on? I don't remember
They're making
this.
effing messes everywhere, and that was driving me nuts. I was like, bro, you cannot.
Yeah.
You just knocked a whole gallon of milk over, and you're just gonna leave it. No, no one would ever just be fine with that.
No.
I don't believe that.
I appreciate the post-sex smoking a little bit of a joint, eating ice cream. Like, hey, that is adorable. I love it. But yeah, then like, oh, we're going in the bathtub. Where it's like,
yeah,
no.
And then the bathtub water is going everywhere, and I'm like, dude, you're gonna ruin your hardwood floor. That's my thought.
Well, they're moving out next season anyway. But yeah, anyway, it definitely more of a rom-com, and I think that's why it worked. Did either of your significant others watch it with you or no?
No, I watched it in two back-to-back nights. I'll tell you, bro, the timestamps wear you out. I almost can't watch a movie in one sitting doing the timestamps because I'm like, man, I just kind of want to watch the movie right now. Yeah.
Well, don't do timestamps then. You don't
no,
have to.
No.
I think we'll get.
I like doing it. But it's but yeah. Anyway, it was 2 nights for me.
I was just gonna ask, like, there's somewhat strong female. I mean, obviously Susan Sarandon is like like she's respected there. She has like her own clock gun to get the speed. Like she doesn't seem to be working for the. I don't know if she's working. Does she work for the team? She just seems to have her own. And then Millie, her sidekick, who like there's just so many different stories going on in this. But like I'm wondering like if a female would like enjoy watching this movie because I think they would because it's it's romantic at the end. Not that that's a very sexist thing to say, but because there are like interesting females in it, and they're like, but they're kind of like. Slutty isn't the right word because obviously it's not portrayed that way.
They're borderline ladies of the night
at all. Like it's all accepted here in like that kind of like
sexually independent. They are
thank you.
Ladies of the night.
Thank you.
You pick a guy every season to I don't know. That's a little.
She gets to choose.
Yeah,
she gets to choose.
Yeah, thank you.
That's
true. Yeah.
And I mean, first of all, I'm not trying to talk trash about Susan Sarandon. I think she is a very strong character. Like she's determining her I don't know how to say it. I'm not trying to come across as a prude, but like she's making her own decisions. She's chosen her lot in life is what I'm trying to say.
Which I mean, they bring it up for a half a second, and she says she's like a part-time school teacher. It's like, wait a minute, like I don't know if I buy that. With like if you like for as far as like the lifestyle, but yeah. So I mean, but again, it's kind of a throw. They brought it up because I was for a long time. I was like, what the hell does she do? She's like going to the baseball game. She's like this huge like mansion, and it's all decked out and stuff like that. A nice classic car that's like really well maintained. Like, wait a second. So what does she do? And then he's asked. She's like, I'm a part-time school teacher of English. Like, all right.
Do we ever see that in the movie?
No, she talked.
So
well, she could have been previously married. You never know. Like again, they don't. I guess that's not what's important. But my mind was definitely thinking that at a time like
part time. Are you though? Are you really a Nigerian prince?
Yeah. So
yeah, I
anyway.
like her character a lot, and also we didn't talk about this, but she's the narrator for the movie as well. And I think that like it could have been Tim Robbins, it could have been Costner narrating. I think it's obviously a very specific decision to have her do it. She has these little stories she tells and uses metaphors, and she's a Southern lady and all that. I find her very, very likable. She's also, I hope it's okay to say, she's very attractive in the movie.
Agreed. Oh yeah.
I don't. They're going for that. That's on purpose.
Definitely. Which is what I was bringing up earlier.
You got Rumsey, you're laughing. You got to be careful how you say these things nowadays.
No, I'm laughing because it's like if she wasn't attractive, it wouldn't make as much sense.
Well, that's true.
Well, you got the Uggo there, and she gets to decide which of the players she sleeps with. Like, yeah, I mean,
she knows a lot about baseball, though, Guy. You know,
she does.
Yeah,
she may not be much to look at, but she knows a lot about baseball.
Which, it absolutely worked. It's a what I was saying earlier. Go ahead, sorry, Matt Jones.
I was going to say just quickly to go back. I was considering it, just didn't work out schedule wise. But this was like one of the few ones where I was like, oh, maybe Eva would like to watch. This OMIO with me. But it just didn't work out schedule wise.
Yeah.
So.
Now having seen it, do you think it would have been like, oh yeah, that was okay? Like meaning they wouldn't compared to some of the other crap that we've watched. It was like, oh god, I don't want to watch the Warriors. Like there's nothing redeeming about the Warriors for.
I think Stacey would like this. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Does feel
again good. Baseball movies. Greater than sign. Baseball.
Baseball is so great. This is why it makes movies so good. And slow pace. When you were talking about it earlier, I was thinking, what's the most of a single inning any one baseball movie has shown? Like 3 innings, maybe.
That's probably it. I mean, I will say another thing about baseball movies that ties into what you're saying. Mm-hmm. They love montages, and montages work so well. And I think there's like 4 or 5 in this movie. It was an incredible amount of montages. But baseball's always got a long season. Games are long as well. Doesn't work as well in Angels of the Outfield to show all 82 games.
Right.
162, you mean?
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking of the NBA. But they mentioned it in this movie. I think that there's 100. You going to go pro and play 142 games a year? I think this movie must have been made before they expanded it, because I caught that somewhere in the movie.
Yeah, it is. You're right. It's not 162, whatever he says.
Yeah, but it is now, right?
Yes. Yep.
Gotcha. Well, that's all my fun facts and things I had pre-notes. I have obviously our timestamps. Another thing that probably needs to be said: the music is great in the movie. Some of it's sort of, I don't know. They kind of got like Southern pop music playing through a lot of the movie.
Lots of saxophones.
Coach. Was that written for this movie? Do you know?
I don't think so. Check.
Great song though.
Did you say what year this was made? I know you did.
1988.
Okay, all right. So late 80s. That makes sense.
Prior to Blue Chips.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, the soundtrack is like of the era, especially of like what adult contemporary, and then they've rock songs throughout too, kind of, or like old.
It felt like a movie that there could be a Kenny Loggins song in.
Sure.
We didn't get one, but like it would make sense if there was one.
I mean, Caddyshack has one.
I'm all right.
Which just blows my mind that that's a Kenny Loggins song.
Oh, just random 80s movie aside, I do sometimes miss the Orion Pictures logo. We got Orion. This is an Orion Pictures jam. So
was it
I like the Orion Pictures. Yep.
Oh man, I didn't even realize.
I guess one other thing we could probably get into as well that's important for every baseball movie is having a good ensemble cast for the team.
Sure.
I think of like A League of Their Own has lots of great supporting characters.
Madonna, Rosie O'Donnell,
right? All the way, May.
I love that movie so much.
This movie, I mean, Major League. I mean, every baseball movie like has to have other interesting characters that are on the team. There's some like this one has the evangelical guy that doesn't drink and that is like I feel like that's a trope in a lot of these kind of movies. We have the witchcraft.
Do you know
guy.
that actor? Do you know the actor who was the
William
evangelical
O'Leary?
dude?
I looked him up. What What were you gonna
The
say?
only other thing, I was like, I know that guy from somewhere. Where do I know him from? He is the Goose character in Hot Shots, who
Oh,
like who dies after like he's like, I'll be fine, honey, and like he goes into the hospital and like all these bad things happen to him, but he's perfectly fine, and then he goes into the hospital and he ends up dead. Like so, I was like, I know him from somewhere, and that's what it's from.
Dude, that's a
So.
deep pool. Oh
on
my goodness! But you're totally right.
his character from Hot Shots' name is Pete, quote unquote, Dead Meat Thompson.
Yeah.
Yeah, on the IMDb page, it always says like known for and lists their big movies. It's Bull Durham and Hot Shots. That's all it's got.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I think I saw Hot Shots is on Amazon Prime. I'm probably gonna watch Hot Shots here sometime soon.
All right, dude. That's something I would love to have for the fight. I haven't seen it for I don't know how long, but I remember really thinking it was hilarious when
Troy,
it
it's
came out.
1991. I mean, it is within the window.
Beautiful.
I remember he cooks food on her stomach.
Yes.
Like during the like really sexy scene. That's pretty funny.
Yeah, the Top Gun thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
He pops the the cherry or something or the grape from her belly button up into her mouth.
Oh man.
I want to watch Hot Shots.
Yeah, I want to watch it too.
Sorry.
Elwood, Lloyd Bridges is in it. John
Yeah, Lloyd.
Cryer,
Yeah.
Christy Swanson.
Yeah, Carrie Elways plays the
Iceman.
Iceman. Thank you.
And then John
Okay.
Cryer plays like the guy with like giant Coke bottle glasses, and he's like always like just like cross-eyed.
He might be is he in the Untouchables?
No,
Oh.
that's a different guy. That's not the accountant dude. Is somebody else?
But you know what I mean, you can kind of see. I think.
Oh yeah, no, I know you. Yeah,
kind of see the connection.
No.
Anyway, Hot Shots.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Topper Harley. There's a character, Bruce A. Young plays a character named Red Herring. I can only imagine how that character is used.
We're back to Scooby Doo again. Let's keep moving on.
Yep.
That's right.
Yep.
All right, timestamps.
All right, timestamps. All
I
right,
will
so
tell you, Jeremy, just quickly as an aside on the timestamps, it may just be better for you not to do timestamps, but just write your notes, and we'll try and figure it out without having timestamps. I bet it'd just be this. It'd be the same thing. It might save you time.
yeah, that's true. Like, is it
Oh,
helpful
yeah.
to know that this happened at 8 minutes and 55 seconds? Other than like in the past, I feel like earlier on one, I missed the scene. And I was like, oh, yeah. Okay, well, then 12:16, that happened. All right, well.
Try it the other way the next time. Now, but I see what you're saying, Matt Jones.
And see what happens.
No. I mean, I guess what you're saying, Matt Jones, is like pausing it to write down the actual time code is like not.
Yeah, but sometimes it's also just to like write down what's going on too, because I'm terrible, and this is true at work as well. I cannot engage in conversation while typing. Like I have to do one or the other. Like I'm one of those people that's like I zone out while I'm typing. So yeah, a lot of times I have to pause it. But
okay.
All right. Well, we'll see how this goes.
Sure.
Texas listeners, we didn't see a lot of comments. We saw a lot of views. Thank you for that. Next week, leave a comment. Hit subscribe
and ni hao to all of us.
Yeah,
click the bell.
How we should have said something at the very start of the thing, because I don't know what the hell. The only thing I can gather is that it's somehow got clicked somewhere, and people are thinking it's the movie because the poster. But the other ones have had the poster too, and they've got like 37 clicks or view buys. Yeah. So I don't know.
We want to see this this show really take off. We might want to watch Hot Shots next.
Yeah, two real comments, and Jeremy's going to send you a sticker.
Yeah, there you go. I just want to point out also, I know we always wear Indiana gear. I'm wearing my Andrew Luck jersey.
Perfect.
And it's the first time I've worn it since I heard the news that he was retiring. Like I've never worn it. It hurts every time I see it in the closet. It just makes me sad.
I thought you were going to say that you heard he was coming back.
No, he's the general manager of Stanford football, baby.
Oh, we would have won 3 Super Bowls by now. Maybe 9. Anyway, all right. Timestamps. All right, so we open black and white footage showing this is a serious baseball movie. I feel like if you're going to do a serious baseball movie, you have to have black and white historical baseball stuff at the start.
But also Pete Rose, which was not that historical at the time, which I thought was nice.
Oh, that's true.
He was like the
Contemporary.
second picture. Yeah.
This is where we first hear Susan Sarandon. I did write down. She mentions 142 games. Is that how much it used to be? I guess we already hit that.
Anybody watch Ken Burns baseball?
I did.
I've never seen it, so I don't know if it's very reminiscent of that type of thing.
I was gonna say, yeah, if Ken Burns documentaries or that style hadn't been invented yet, then definitely they're aping this. But I'm guessing '88 he had already done something by now.
I think so.
But I think that's that document. I know that's called the Ken Burns documentary style, the slow zoom in on pictures and stuff like that, which now you could do digitally very easily. But back then they had to do the actual stuff. But
he's done a lot of like long form documentaries, right? I know about baseball, but I think he did one on World War One.
Civil War. Yeah.
Yeah.
Came out in 94.
What's that?
Ken Burns baseball came out in 94.
When did his documentary start coming out? Does it say that, like his first act?
Let's see. Civil War came out in 1990.
Okay, wow.
He did one on the Statue of Liberty in 85. Congress in 88.
Okay, so he does have an 85. So that style that's attributed to his name was potentially predating this kind of stuff, and then it took off quickly because anyway, sorry.
Apologize.
Oh, good. No. All right. So we get through that, and the movie pretty much just kicks off with Tim Robbins getting it on with that lady,
Millie.
4 minutes to game time. He says, "I'm already warm." Cute. I like that line. Oh, we haven't talked about it. This is a very funny movie. I don't think my notes are going to capture. I tried to take a few quotes, but I don't think like notes can really capture the humor of the movie because obviously it's like there's timing and context and all that.
It's lightning fast. Some of the jokes.
Yeah,
I was going to say, Jeremy, I don't know. I've seen it 2 or 3 times now, but I listen to headphones with subtitles so I could actually hear every single joke and I kind of know the characters. And I was thinking about taking notes, but to your point of it being time consuming, I would have been having to write something down like every 2 minutes where I was like, that was really funny. It was like a one sentence like throwaway line.
Yeah.
That we talk about the cast really quick. I want to bring up because who's the guy that plays the assistant to the manager that's also Knox from Batman?
Arliss.
I wrote down Arliss as well. Just because he was on that show called Arliss and it had dollar signs for S's. I think it was an HBO show.
He was a lead in that. Yeah, but he was great in Batman and Batman '89.
Robert Wool is his name.
He's one of those guys. He was great. He had me in stitches. Sorry, I just wanted to mention him.
Robert Lowell, is that what you said?
Wool. WUHL.
Okay. So stop me if I missed something, but
no, just that character.
Obviously, there's a lot going on in this movie too, scene changes and stuff. So, all right. So shortly after that, we find out it's the Durham Bulls, and we get our first shot of Tim Robbins pitching. For the first pitch is wild after the announcer says he has trouble with control. Then the very next pitch, he hits the batter, and then there's a montage of bad pitches and good pitches. So we can clearly see, like right off the bat, that he's about 50-50. Like he'll either throw a strike or something terrible.
Now that I'm thinking about this, I'm like, that you have to kind of suspend your disbelief that somebody is going to get to the minor leagues, play like high school baseball, and get to the minor leagues and have almost no control over his pitching whatsoever. But he can just throw the ball really fast all the time. Like, okay.
Yeah, he's clocked early on. I don't know if I already
95
that's
or
ahead.
96.
But he's clocked at like 95, 96 throughout the movie.
And that was fast back then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Nowadays, that's like a changeup. That's not a. I mean, it's still fast, but it's not
It's
as
also
impressive.
when pitchers pitched entire games and didn't have 3
Yeah.
Tommy John surgery by the time they were 25. So
Good call.
yeah.
Yes, that is true.
So game ends. He walked 18 and struck out 18. And there's a funny thing where he had set apparently several league records for bad stats, essentially,
And good stats.
and good stats. I made a note. Oh, it's Arliss, and I did the dollar signs in my notes. Then we meet Crash Davis, which is Costner's character. Sometimes in my notes I refer him as Crash, and sometimes it's Costner. So sorry about that.
Because his character doesn't have a real first name, does he? He's always goes by Crash.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
what's
he
his
might be right.
Tim
Susan
Robbins
Sarandon calls him Crash as well.
he has whatever his Eddie Davis or whatever, and then he goes by Nuke.
League. Abby Calvin Lelouch.
Thank you, Lelouch.
All right. So Crash Davis shows up. Why am I here? Pitcher has $1 million arm and a 5-cent head. That was a pretty good one. Costner quits and then comes back and asks about the next game. I think that was in reference to helping him out. I don't remember what that note means, to be perfectly honest.
He was like, I don't want to put up with this stuff, and so he like starts to leave. Then he thinks about it, and he comes back. And
because this was a technical I mean, obviously, feeder teams, whatever. So it's an organization in theory, I guess. So he got demoted down to this minor, even more minor than where he was, I thought.
Oh yeah, because this would be a layer below the Indians. Indianapolis Indians.
Yeah, he was in like single A. He was coming from a different, and that's what he's explaining to him, and that's why he's like, I quit, because, and then at the end, not to say spoilers, but yeah, the end is a lateral transfer, I think.
Yeah,
but then to your point, like the home run record, like is that in all the minor leagues? Then I guess all the different. So I don't know. That's a baseball thing I still don't fully understand. Just how quickly they can trade between, like, for example, it's like I see someone on Monday night and then like, they went to they sent them down to Tacoma the next day. Like, they just drove down there and they're playing the next day. That's crazy.
I kind of always just thought there's a quote unquote a minor league, and that there's just a minor league. I had no idea for years that there were multiple tiers.
Yeah, yeah,
like, and it makes sense. I mean, it
right?
makes sense for baseball.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh no, you're fine. All right. So next scene, I just made a note. The Smithereens, Only a Memory.
Oh yeah, in the bar,
playing at the bar.
Yep.
That song, I had not heard that song in a long time. That's a banger.
It is.
Tim Robbins meets Susan. Wait, she's Susan, but does she go by Annie?
I think so. I think that's her name.
Okay.
Annie,
I read somewhere, maybe I didn't write it down, that an Annie was that's like a name that they would give, like, sort of the baseball groupies.
Oh,
that was a nickname. I didn't
that's
write
cool,
and it's unverified anyway, so who knows?
Yeah, no, but that's great. That's great.
So Tim Robbins meets Susan. Costner steps in, appears to know Susan. They get into a little spat, and Tim Robbins wants to, let's step outside to party, man. I wrote that line down. I like that one. Lots of banter. Costner outside to fight Tim Robbins. Challenged to throw ball at Costner's chest. Great scene. I think we all knew where this was going. He does not successfully hit him in the chest. Says couldn't hit water if he fell out of an effing boat. But that was
one of your F bombs.
Yep, that's a sick burn.
You should have just taken notes of all the F bombs. Like how many does he have to say? Like 37 or something.
One time when I was a kid, I counted out how many cuss words were in Tremors.
Really?
And because I like, as a kid, I was like, man, there's a lot of cussing in this movie. It's pretty hard PG-13.
Yeah, I like Tremors.
Yeah, hey, it's eligible.
Yeah, I'll see if it's in the $5 club. I'll put it in my watch list for sure.
All right. So Tim Robbins tries to punch him, biffs the punch. Costner punches him. Hilarious punch sound. He's down like a sack of potatoes, and then they introduce they meet each other essentially for the first time. Love the what did I say here? Love the gimmick that movies always do, where there's a confrontation and then the person introduces themselves after they win the confrontation. That I feel like that is in a lot of movies.
Oh, sure. Like a trope.
Yeah,
But it works.
yeah,
The first time I saw this, like, oh, that's clever. And then they become, yeah. I mean, not buddies right away, but it's
Didn't he say,
immediately like
"Figure it out,
diffuses any
yeah."
tension. What's that?
Yeah, they're like, once he gets punched and he's like down on the ground, he's like, "All right, you want to help me up?" Right? I felt like it was just like completely over it. Like, all right,
yeah,
well, it's like, yeah, that kind of is how guys are.
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
that one punch gets thrown and gets hit. All right, we're done.
All right, next scene. We meet Annie in the context of her relationship with players. She says she hooks up with a player every year. Propositions Costner and Robbins. Costner's not having it, so she pretty much is just like, I'm not going after him, and gives up really quickly. You could tell Costner kind of wanted to be pursued, but the second she was like, I'm not dealing with this prima donna or whatever, she moves on to Robin's character. I wrote, man, this movie's a little blue with the language. Annie is hot and
Kevin
bothered.
Costner talking about the C and P.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe in the soul. I believe in the cock and the pussy. I'm like, oh, you're dropping the
Yeah.
P word. All right. Maybe
Yep.
that was more in vogue in 1988.
Yeah, I was like looking around, like, am I gonna get in trouble a few times?
I want to put a pin in this really quick because I don't know if we have this data later, but was this a successful movie at the time?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I didn't know if it was just like a cult classic for sports anchors, or like, oh yeah, Bull Durham when they're talking about what to get the wedding present or whatever. But yeah,
It made 50 million in box office on a 9 million budget. So
that's successful for 1988.
Made 5 million in its opening weekend, which would have been huge for 88.
Cool. Okay. Well, that's great.
All
So
right.
people were okay with foul language in 1988. That's nice to see.
I mean,
in a
what
movie
was
that's clearly not. This isn't like geared to like 16 to 18-year-olds. This is like for 35-year-olds, right?
No,
I
I
would
was
say
gonna
so.
say, like, if I remember right, like Rain Man, which is 88, I think that was like the biggest box office movie of the year.
Rain
Like
Man.
Rain Man, which is
Wow.
And that's
that's
rated
an
R.
R-rated movie. And it's like it's one of those things where you look back on it and you're like, how did this happen? How did
I wonder-
Rain Man make $354 million at the box office?
What?
Do you think it's
Yeah.
possible that like them creating the PG-13 rating was able to allow R-rated movies to kind of push a little further or something? I'm just guessing because this would have been what is this 2 years after Temple of Doom? Was it in Temple of Doom
4
86
years.
or 84?
Yeah, 84.
So I don't know. That's just a theory.
Yeah.
I mean, you definitely were able to like say, okay, you design your movies. You're like, am I going to make this PG-13 so that we can get kids in there, or am I going to make this rated R so that we can have adults come and see it?
Yeah.
Having seen Rain Man, I don't understand how that movie made $354 million at all. It's a good movie, but I don't understand the popular phenomenon that would have made it get $350 million. I mean, that's just bananas large box office for 88.
And
So,
for almost all adults because it's an R, right?
yeah.
So
And it earns its R.
not to get too off, but 7 Degrees of Separation of the actress from Hot Shots, also in Rain Man, who I had a huge crush on as a kid, and I can't. I don't. Yeah, and I don't know her name to save my life.
It's Ramada
Is Isabella or something? Is it like Isabella or something?
Valeria Galino.
Oh, Valeria Galino.
That's a good. That's a fitting name. I think it's a very elegant name.
Yeah, boy, that was like
she has that little. She's like the Natalia in Goldeneye. She's got that like European, like a little European flavor to her.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Something about her always. I was like, well, that doesn't have to be like crushing on celebrities, but I mean, dude, however old I was when I saw Hot Shots, it's like, wow, that is a really pretty girl or woman or whatever.
10.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
that movie
I
came
was
out
a
in
nerd.
91.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Anyway, so salute to her wherever she's at.
All right, so she has courted Robbins. And then this is their first scene where they're gonna get it on, and she complains to him for not taking off his socks, and he says, "Do you think Dwight Gooden leaves his socks on?"
Great baseball joke,
which is a great joke. This is our first scene. I mean, we see a little bit before this, but like Robbins is kind of a bumbling. He's a prodigy. He's a really good baseball player, but he's kind of a dum-dum. But
And
some
a
of it's
kid.
just he doesn't know what he doesn't know also.
Because you said he's 30, but he's supposed to be playing like a young 20s. Like, if I'm,
Oh, for sure.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to your point, it's like, is his being recast? Like, yeah, you could have done a little bit younger person, I guess.
Yeah.
Because like you said, he was 30 in this movie, and Costner was 32.
33, yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable that he was that young.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
And wasn't Tim
Mind blown.
Am I thinking of Tim Robbins, who was married to Sarandon for a while too?
We talked about this 30 minutes ago.
Okay, no. I'm sorry. I thought when you said that, I thought you said Costner earlier.
No. Tim
Robbins
Okay.
was a partner. They were partners. They never got officially married.
I feel like I even remember like them on red carpets and stuff together. Premieres and all that.
I never, unlike, you watch some of these, older movies that are like, oh, these high school, like Grease or something. These are supposed to be high school students. They look like they're almost in their 40s, right? But like I had no problem with casting Tim Robbins as like he comes off as like a 20-something-year-old person. So I had no problem with that.
I can see that. All right, so
mannerisms do a lot,
Sure,
know. Even if you look at him, you're like, if you just took a still of him and you're like, how old is he? You'd probably be like mid-20s, something, maybe late 20s. But his mannerisms make him appear younger. So
in a weird at the end of the movie when he goes to the majors and he's got a cut hair and stuff, that's when he looks really young. When he's in the minors, he looks Kevin Costner's age. To where we're talking, he's like, yeah, he's like kind of like poofy, older hair. It's like, yeah, weird.
That's true.
I think also it is hard, like for us. I know what Tim Robbins looks like later in his acting career, and so it's hard for me to like not think of him as like a grown ass man actor that's done like, the Shawshank Redemption and whatnot.
Right, because that would have been too long after this. No, it was late.
Yeah,
90s.
that was
6 years. 94.
94. Okay.
That was remember it was Pulp Fiction, Shawshank, Forrest Gump, all in the same year. It was 94.
Yeah, good call. All right. Well, they don't get it on because she ties him up and reads him poetry. And she says, she says, you ever heard of Walt Whitman? And he says, who's he play for?
yeah. Good joke. Great joke.
Mm-hmm.
And then she says his name is Nuke now. And she explains every player's got to have their like nickname gimmick. So he goes by Nuke from then on for the rest of the movie. It's just accepted that that's his name. Then we go 27 minutes. We're at Costner's first at bat. So this is our next game after the opening sequence game. I wrote that I love the internal dialogue, like the trash talking he's doing in his head. I read that a lot of people, like baseball personalities, really appreciated that the movie had that because that's like something that batters and pitchers like are thinking in their head of like talking to themselves and such. And I mean, I've been there, so thought that was cool.
Wait a second.
It does feel a little dated. But
if Susan Sarandon's the narrator, how does she know what he's doing in his internal dialogue?
Good point. That's a good point.
Well,
maybe based on how it ends.
No, it's dumb. No, that's a terrible plot hole. Nobody gives a shit.
All right. I love it. I noticed Costner's a lefty.
No, he's switch hitter.
Oh, he's a switch hitter. Okay,
He
his
switches.
first at bat, he's batting lefty. Okay,
Yeah, we got a right-handed pitcher because there's a later time where he's on the right side, and I'm like, he must be facing a left-handed pitcher, and lo and behold, he was facing a left-handed pitcher.
Cool.
So I was like, oh yeah, okay, he's a switch hitter.
I don't understand how someone could be a switch hitter. Like that's the idea of that is no way.
Not only that it's so common too in baseball anyway that people.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Like, I mean, our catcher right now is like an unbelievable. Our catcher, the Mariners catcher, is unbelievable switch hitter.
Have you tried switch hitting?
I mean,
No.
It's not like writing. It's not like writing a pencil. It's actually not that difficult to switch hit. It's not easy to do. Like at a major league level, it's tough. Like you have a lot of practice, but like. If you were just like, oh, I always want to go out and play softball with the team, and I'm going to just switch it up, like it's not as hard as you would think because you're moving a lot of the same muscle groups. It's just switching a little bit of which way you're holding it.
I think the muscle memory of like swinging from the right my whole life, it would feel so foreign because I think I've tried to swing a golf club opposite, and it felt everything felt wrong and uncomfortable. But
again, I think of golf as a little bit more of a precision. I can't hit a golf ball very precise when I'm doing it in my natural way, anyways. But
I'm not very good at baseball either, so.
I don't think of baseball as being as precise. But
yeah, I mean, and just some people are more ambidextrous. Like, I mean, I don't know if either of you guys have any history of skateboarding, but people practice skating switch stance so they can do all of their tricks. Because if you've ever skateboarded before, you skate regular foot or goofy foot, right? You either push with one or push with the other. And people practice enough to do stuff both ways. Where if you skate one way, which I had for years and years, even the thought of ollieing with the other foot, like it's impossible. But people will do it just over and over and over again.
And it probably like limits your trick set too if you can only have because like if you start in one and then end the trick on the other, like someone who can't do the opposite footing position just can't do that trick now.
Right. And obviously it's an Olympic sport now, right? Like there's so it makes sense that you have to have like the hard in it, the degree of difficulty in a sport like that that's subjectively judged. But
good point.
So I mean it's just, but to what you said earlier, it blows my mind that people do it, that there's as many people that do it and you can do it as you can. And it feels so weird to do a baseball that way for me.
Or like can't throw. I could not throw with my left. I could swing lefty. I don't know what it is. I don't know why it's that way, but I could do it.
So. I want to try it. I don't think I've ever even tried. Let's give it a shot.
I'll say this.
I feel like I can.
If you underhand a softball to me, I would say the most likely thing I could do is hit it with a baseball bat. If you ask me to switch stance ollie, 6 months maybe.
Not happening. Yeah.
No,
I never got the ollie myself.
So it's so hard.
Anyways,
still working on regular footing for the ollie.
Yeah. I could do an ollie right now. I got my board. Give me like 10 minutes, but not a switch stance.
I always wanted to be. All right. Well, let's see here.
Kevin Costner's internal dialogue. First at bat.
All right. So yeah, Costner's first at bat. Sorry, I just had to find my spot here. He's lefty. Just more on the internal dialogue. Note handoff. I think this is where Susan Sarandon sends him a note and he writes her back.
Yep. Another one of your F-bombs.
Yep. I don't remember what the note said. Do you remember?
Hers said something about his hips. His said, "Let's fuck."
Oh, yeah. That's right. Then we are at the next note I have. We are at the batting cage.
His last chance to try to pick her up.
Yeah, and this is also where we find out it's his last chance to break the minor league home run record as well.
Mm-hmm.
And now that it's evident now that he said no to Annie, he's jealous and wishes he had said yes at this point as well.
And
All right, then next scene, Annie and Nuke are having sexy time, and she accidentally says "crash" during that. I didn't have any quotes written down there.
Would you rather me say your name and him
Yeah.
with him, or his name with you? And he's like, "Oh yeah, all right." So,
But to what you just said, Jeremy, and obviously as adults now we can see it. So we didn't watch this as kids anyway. But from the very beginning, we know that they both want to be with each other. They both know that she's not going to work out with him, and they know that he knows that too. But it's also like they just won't refuse to they refuse to get together, and they kind of like lay the line of like, well, they're both a little bit afraid of this might be something real, and they can kind of tell that right off the bat because he obviously is like, well, I'm going to take one more chance of like, why are you with that guy? And then she is saying his name that night and sex, so it's like, okay, we have to go to the rest of this movie knowing that are they going to end up together, which is
right.
Worked.
And you look at the movie cover, or the box art for the movie. There's no Tim Robbins.
Right,
It's Kevin Costner standing very like heroically, and then Susan Sarandon's like draped over him. So the whole movie, I'm just like, they are not together in this movie. What is this box art?
Well, and you brought it up. I did not even think about this. It's her movie. She's a narrator. Like she's the main, and then they're the two, which is I didn't even think about that. Yeah. I haven't seen too many romantic comedies, but it's a female lead romantic comedy.
I mean, it's romantic and it's comedic.
All right, I like it.
All right, so then we are back at our third game, I believe. I did not write down the game numbers.
No, I don't. Yeah,
just by memory, I think we're at 36 minutes. Robbins gives up a hit on the mound, and this is where we first find Costner giving him advice in game and him not listening, and it does not go well. Like, it's very clear that Costner knows what he's talking about, and he's being a stubborn rookie that wants to do things his way, that probably worked in high school.
But both times that he tells the batter what's coming, like, I just laugh hysterically. He's like, what he tells him, and he goes out to the mound. He's like, "You told him what I was going to throw." He's like, "Yep." Dude, I don't. It's so easy, but it killed me.
Later in the movie, when we get the home run into the bowl in the outfield, that one is great.
You hit the bull. The guy gets a free steak.
He's like, you told him what I was pitching. He's like, "Yep, I sure did."
Oh man.
All right. So let's see here. So after that, then we get at 39 minutes, we get a montage of things going better for the team. First team home run, during which we didn't mention, but the team announcer, I really like that character too. He's got that kind of Southern. This all takes place in it's Durham Bulls, the Durham, North Carolina League. So things are getting better. Montage, everything's got a montage.
I'm trying to remember. Is it this movie where like the announcer is like getting fed what's going on, like hitting, and they have a sound effect, or is that a different movie?
He has a little piece of wood.
Yeah,
for the away games. Yeah, yep.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure I was in the right movie.
Yep,
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, so 43 minutes, we get there. This is like a big pivotal part of the movie, I think, in the growth of the characters, and that is them starting their road trip. I think it's like an 18 game road swing, or 12. It's a 12-day road trip, starting tomorrow. And I'm sorry. Before they go into that, we have Sarandon and Costner meet up. Recommendation from Costner to treat players like, is it? No. Maybe it's the manager. I'm sorry. Anyway, he's recommended to treat the players like kids. There's a pep talk in the showers. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Again, the notes are very brief, and I'm trying to remember what I thought at the time. Costner gives the advice to the skipper of the team, right?
Yep.
Skipper comes in, throws his bats on the ground. He says, anybody not in the showers is getting fined $100. I got there in the end. 12-game road trip starting tomorrow. Sarandon sends him off. We got the bus ride. Robbins brags about his Porsche and his quadraphonic Blaupunkt. I thought that was it. Do you remember Blaupunk?
Ah,
It was like a really hot, high end German stereo brand in the
oh,
80s. Like you'd
wow.
get like a badass Blaupunk AM/FM cassette player.
Not a
Anyway,
pioneer.
yeah, I thought that was funny that there was like a brag in that. Costner shares with him he was in the show for 21 days. I like all the talk about I made it to the show. I'd never heard of that outside of this movie, but I know there's like
MLB The
Video
Show.
game.
PlayStation
Yeah,
The
okay.
Show. I was like, wait, they stole this from the video game. All right, stop me anytime. And then we get shortly after this, Costner wagers that he can get a rain out the next day.
Mm-hmm.
And we have there's a great like camaraderie scene where they're all playing in the sprinklers, where they wet down the field and they get a rainy day the next day.
All the while losing. Like,
yes,
he throws the fit. Like, you guys got to get better, and then they just suck the entire trip. Which is like, if you watch other baseball movies, like, oh, yep, they have an upswing. Like, no, but they're
that's what I was expecting.
They're bonding, and that's important too. So
yeah. We see the nightmare sequence where he's pitching in his jockstrap. That was pretty funny. At 51 minutes, 53, we return home from the road stretch. Robbins, he reunites with Annie. He still sucks at pitching. I've noted movie is halfway over without anyone really making any progress. But that's a good point you just brought up about like they were bonding during this. Like they were learning to get along. So 57 minutes, Costner catches Robbins with the lingerie.
Finally puts it on. That's why they didn't win. Is he didn't wear the lingerie.
Yep.
Robbins explains how it might help him. And then they agree that maybe he should listen to Costner on his pitch calls. He goes out on his very first at bat and strikes out the first batter, which is cool.
And this is also at the end of the road trip. This is where she tells him to rechannel his sexual energy, which is where the celibacy streak starts as well, which is a big. I don't know. It just makes it fun.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's funny that he's wearing the garters, and they're like, "What's he keep doing?" And like the assistant, Robert Wool, Arliss knows. He's like, "Oh yeah, he's wearing."
Yeah.
Like he's like trying so hard to hide all this stuff, and he's like, "I know exactly what's going on."
Well, Eddie's out there, and then he has internal dialogue for maybe the first time. He's like, "Yeah, these things feel kind of sexy or something stupid." Like it's like,
yes.
all right, I'm so on board. Movie, let's go.
Yeah. So let's see here. So shortly after, Robbins is like for the first time, like he's showing humility. He's also enjoying that he's like pitching well. Costner's still not being that nice to him. Can't you let me enjoy the moment? Costner says the moment is over like immediately. That was a good one. Then Costner gets a home run. Then the very next sequence, this is our first moment where he literally, like, genuinely listens to Costner, and he says, "Throw it at the mascot." And then Costner gives the next batters some sort of, "You better look out, he's crazy," and then he strikes that guy out.
Wouldn't dig in too deep if I were you.
Yeah.
As stupid as that was, sorry to cut off, hitting the mascot, like how it shot, and it's like I popped. I absolutely laughed out loud for him hitting the damn bull in the head again. That's such a stupid major league joke, but it made me laugh very hard.
Not playing baseball, like this whole communication with the pitcher and the catcher, and like shaking off the catcher. I assume that's a commonly like relationship in teams where like they like you listen to your catcher.
Oh yeah,
I assume
catcher's calling the game usually. I mean, I can't think of a time when pitchers do. Maybe they do. I don't know.
Pitchers, they'll shake them off. They'll shake them off at times. I mean, maybe they'll be like, maybe I don't want to pitch that because, they both in professionals are supposed to, like, the pitchers and the catchers are both supposed to do their homework on all of the batters that are in there.
Right.
And it's kind of like I kind of think of it like a head coach or an offensive play caller in the NFL and a quarterback. Like a quarterback should theoretically have a little bit of free reign. You're supposed to follow the plays, But if you see something from the stuff that you've seen and you're seeing guys out there, you're allowed to audible. You're allowed to say, "Oh no! I think this is a better player. I know what we can do. It's going to make this work." And there's supposed to be some level of trust between, But again, this is minor leagues, and they may not they have a good relationship, but they not have like that type of relationship where they completely trust each other enough to do that type of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
And it makes sense when you think about it. I mean, if you have a 4-game series, your catcher sees the batters all 4 games, but he might be catching the 4 different pitchers. Like, if they sometimes pitchers have different catchers, but a lot of times the same person. So they're going to see that batter so many more times. So it kind of makes sense. But yeah, I wouldn't have known that either. I would have like, the pitcher throws whatever the hell they want. Like,
well, I think like for like novices like me who don't know this, like I think the movie does a good job of like teaching me that this is a normal relationship. Like I don't get, at least my takeaway wasn't it's because Costner's the veteran. It was, like they're supposed to be a team, and going rogue all the time isn't going to work.
Meaning to say this, like the baseball stuff in this movie is like awesome. There was parts of the romantic triangle thing that I was more up for, more and less down up for, but like all the baseball stuff, which as you said in your unverified facts, like the fact that he played in the minor leagues, it's like you can tell that this is somebody that has a lot of experience because all the baseball stuff is extremely good.
Yeah. All right. So they get a win, first time in a while, and Robin says, quote, "I love winning. It's better than losing." Costner gives him the advice about interviews and things to say as he gets big, which we see later in the movie.
Also hilarious and right on the nose.
Annie
right on the money.
is starting to get anxious because she has been shut out while he is being abstinent. Oh, Annie shows up at Costner's place and is mad she isn't getting any. And then the next game. So I kind of fast forwarded through this, but Robbins, I think we had another montage in there where Robbins has been pitching super well. The team's been winning a lot, like very hot streak. He's doing great. Then hour 14, Robbins is having an off night. His dad is there. This is where we see our first bad game in a while. Team has other issues. That we have the meeting at the mound, which is hilarious. One of the guys is concerned about wedding presents. The juju has fallen off the bat from that guy's with the chicken or something. I feel like there's a fourth issue. Obviously, his dad's there. He's nervous. And then Arliss goes out there and says, "And what are we doing?"
We're worried about wedding presents for Johnson. No, he gets some nice candlesticks. He's got the answer right there. Yep. I love it.
Yeah. And let's see here.
He gets called up to the majors, right? That's when he gets the call.
Oh, no. You're skipping a very important scene, and that is Costner
the cocksucker
missing the out and getting called safe at home plate. And we have the whole dialogue of do you want me to call you a cocksucker? And then he says, "Don't call me a cocksucker." Do you want me to say, call you a cocksucker? And then he just says, "You're a cocksucker." And he gets tossed.
Which that must be some inside baseball thing too. Like that's just the one word you don't say.
Yeah. Well, and you see like I've seen plenty of replays where like people are yelling at each other and they're an inch from each other. There's face. You have no idea what they're saying. They both seem very inflamed. And then there's always like a trigger point where someone has crossed the line. I'd be curious if this cocksucker thing is a real thing.
I mean, he's from the minors.
Yeah.
Possible.
That's a funny word. That's the one. It's the only one you can't say.
But you can say that was a cocksucking call. Right. You call me a cocksucker? No, that was a cocksucking call. Do you want me to call you a cocksucker? So
yeah,
it is so funny that the line is it's semantics.
It did look like a bad call to me too. Did it? That's what at least they want the viewer to think, right?
Yes. Well, of course.
Yeah. All right. So, and then Robbins comes to Annie's house. She's
People-
excited. It's
just
the
really
first loss.
really quick, because
Oh, yeah.
I want to see if you guys picked up on this, or what you guys think, if there is something there. But so that's where he throws a fit, gets kicked out. So does he do? And then Annie says, "Oh, how romantic!" Like, is he doing it to take the heat off of his pitcher? Like, he got thrown out, so then the game kind of goes to shit, and like, so the blame isn't going on him. Like, why does he? You know what I mean? Like, what was his motivation to get thrown out? And then she says that it was a romantic thing for him to get thrown out. Like, I don't know. I need to rewatch that.
I mean, like, so the very next scene is when we find out Robbins is getting called up to the show. And so I wonder if there's a little bit of Costner knowing that's coming.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's an interesting
But he's throwing
thought,
like
though.
the worst. He's throwing a horrible game. And then she does have that comment. Like, she's listening on the radio that, oh, he must, because she's fixing Millie's dress. She's not at that game.
Yeah.
So yeah, like, he makes the decision to get thrown out. She says that's so romantic of him. And I was like, well, again, was he doing it for Tim Robbins? Or, to your point, Jeremy, is like, was there some foreshadowing that he thinks?
And
that
that's
he's
his
gonna end
last
up with
game too, right?
her? Whose? Crashes?
Yeah, because Newt
Because-
gets called up, and then
yes,
the
that
very next
happens.
scene
Yep,
they
bang,
do that.
bang.
This is the hardest conversation of manager. And I forgot to write that down earlier, but that's a nice early in the movie someone gets booted from the team, and so you don't know at the moment, like, we're gonna see that later in the movie, but like, you know how that conversation goes now and how it sucks.
There's a lot of callbacks in this.
Yeah.
We'll get to here pretty shortly, I think.
Yeah, good call. Rum, did you catch that? Troy was suggesting, like, what's Costner's motivation to
I
go
never
off the handle?
understood. I
thought it was to
I
give his
just figured that
pitcher
was part of
face
the game.
or save his pitcher's
Yeah.
face, because he was having a
That
bad
could be
game,
too.
and kind of unexplained too. Like, it just happens. Like, you have your
Yeah.
hot streak, you can't win
Yips.
every game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't quite understand, like, the point of her saying how romantic. I didn't get that part of
Okay.
it, but
Yeah. All right. Okay. So there was a little more confusion. Like, what's going on here, really? Because then it just, like, starts to wrap up pretty quick. So it's
Yeah.
not really that important, but I want to kind of go watch that again and see if I missed something.
That's a good call. Yeah, I hadn't thought about that. Oh yeah, and I also, when he got thrown out for calling him the cocksucker, Annie, like, it cuts to Annie, and she knew that that's the word he said, which is funny. So I guess that lends credence to the whole, like, maybe that's a known thing that you don't say that word. But all right, so Robin shows up at Annie's house. She's excited because it's finally time for sexy time. He finally got a loss, and then the phone rings, and it's for Robbins, and he's getting called up. And
Well,
he said-
she actually says the wrong guy is showing up, though. Like, she
does, but I thought
Yeah.
it was because she saw the dad through the window or something.
Oh no, she wants to crash. I can't remember what there's a definite, besides her just saying his name with Tim Robbins.
You're right. That makes more sense than it being the dad.
Yeah. Like, oh, so and
Put
so
on
this.
the,
What's
she
that?
put on the Inception music.
Oh,
When
the
the-
La Vie en Rose or whatever. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, the
I
Inception.
mean, it's the Inception song. So
Yeah, with
A dream
the
inside a
drop
dream.
music that they use.
Inside
mhm.
a dream.
Good call.
Inside a Taco Bell. Inside of a Pizza Hut.
So yeah, he gets called up. His dad's there. She tries to get a quickie in. He's like, later I'll be back. And I like that there's this mutual goodbye where they both know they're not going to see each other again. Like, you know it as the viewer too. I thought that was like a really well written and constructed scene, because you could tell exactly what was supposed to be thought from both parties. So that happens. And then, to share the good news, Robbins meets up with Costner at the pool hall. I thought this was this scene's like the blockbuster, you know, and the Oscar goes to scene of the movie, I think, like, for all the performances, because Robbins goes in there to tell him the good news, because he's been coached by Crash the whole movie. He's not there to gloat. He's there to share the celebration. And this is when you can see hints of it throughout the movie, that Costner, like, kind of knows this is it for him, and he's never going to get that shot again. And it's like I thought it was very sad. Like I had never really thought about like that grind and it's not just in baseball, but it's in every sport where people like are just grinding and trying to eventually get there, and they're just never going to get there. And he has that scene where, or the line where he says the difference between hitting a 376 and a 250 is like one hit per 10 games or something like that. I can't remember the ratio.
Yeah, it's the difference between like a 250 and a 300 batting average is like one extra hit per game or something like that. So it's like
I don't even think it's that much. It wasn't even every game, but yeah, like how I like that conversation of like just a little bit of luck and you're playing. I think he says you're playing at Yankee Stadium, or the other end you're here. So, but it's like Costner's kind of making his peace that like he never had the physical toolkit talent wise that Robbins has in the movie. So
I also like the joke of like one of the best players, like, this is $1 million a year arm. It's like, oh, 1988, $1 million a year arm. Like, people playing for the Rainiers make that more than that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But
Tim Robbins punched him with his left hand, and he goes, "Which hand did you punch me with?" It's like my left one. It's like, good. Yeah.
This is also, I don't know if it's already happened, but the callback to the beginning where he's trying to throw a pool ball at Tim Robbins and smashes the mirror to the right instead of the window because he was trying to hit him, but he couldn't hit him. So
yeah. So yeah, it's a really nice scene. Costner's clearly disappointed that his career is where it's at. He's kind of taking it out on Robbins. He gets punched. And then I don't know, hour 127. I don't have anything after. I can't remember exactly where it transitioned to, but we're getting a final advice from Costner in the locker room before Robbins takes off. You see his Porsche, which probably has that Blaupunkt stereo in it. And he recommends him to stay cocky and arrogant. We see also the like evangelical guy on the team gets married. Shortly after that, to the I wrote the other Annie. I couldn't remember her name.
Millie.
Post game party in the locker room, and then Costner gets cut in that room, just as we saw at the beginning of the movie. I thought it was a nice touch that they were recommending him for coaching.
Oh, I thought they said that there's like an opening for catcher in a different.
That's where he goes.
Different place. And then he says, but he also says, yeah, there. Oh, that's right. He says there's probably going to be an opening for a manager position in somewhere else. And then he's like, well, whatever. And then he goes and becomes a manager for somebody. He goes to become a catcher for somebody else so he can get
his record.
Yeah,
record.
And he's cut for the new guy. It's the next man up, another catcher who's a good batter, et cetera, et cetera. And that's a bummer. I mean, it's a bummer scene. Again, I didn't like. I wasn't getting dusty, but I was getting close to thinking about getting dusty. So Costner shows up to Annie's, tells her he's getting released, and then sexy time ensues for long periods of time. I do like I didn't mention this little detail, but earlier when she teaches Robbins how to undo the hosiery clip, and he fumbles all over it. And when this sexy time scene starts, Costner gets it right away. But yeah, they just make fucking messes all over the house, and it bothered me a lot, but it's fine. Yeah, they seem to have a great old time, and then in the morning he leaves. A note on the pillow, no goodbye. You can tell she is very disappointed and was not expecting that. You see him start with his new team, Charlotte something or other. He breaks his record, and cuts to an interview after that. He gets it, and we see him driving around his old beat up Mustang too, if that's important.
Mm-hmm.
Robin's interview at the end, using Costner's advice, he's got a very cool 90s gelled up hairstyle, which I thought was hysterical because that would have been a really cool hairstyle at the time. And he's wearing, I don't know if anyone caught this. Does anyone write down or catch what t-shirt he's wearing?
Like Public Enemy, like he was wearing like hip like metal shirts throughout the thing.
It was Fishbone.
Fishbone. Okay, yes, I did see that.
Yeah, I did see other ones throughout the movie, which would have been a very hip and cool, like timely band to be into. And I thought the movie was going to end there. I was kind of worried it would. And then at hour 142, we get the moment that everybody watching the movie wants to get. And Annie comes and finds Costner at his new place. He tells her he quit after his last home run. Annie's going to quit being a whore, I wrote. Sorry, Rumjo, you don't like that. But she's hanging it up. And they both moving on to be together in their new lives. But I like how they're both, I didn't say it very elegantly, but like they're both leaving this phase of their life to like accepting kind of like, I don't want to say they've aged out, but like sort of it's time to move on. And then the movie ends and they're dancing and having a great time.
And that's it. That's the final callback.
Right.
Yeah. The dancing because he doesn't dance. I don't dance.
Like, I forgot about that. Yeah.
So she dances with the clown, who we didn't bring up as a great character, but that threw me off. Like the hobo clown guy that's dancing is then like the old guy in like the nice suit that dances with her at the bar when the two guys go fight. It's like, wow, that's pretty good makeup and dancing and acting. That guy must have been a legit MLB. Or
he was. He was a legit baseball clown.
Wow. Okay. Because his it was great. It was absolutely great. Yeah. So. All right. Well, he was the original like dancing Homer or whatever those mascots were from that Simpsons episode. Liven yourself up there, dancing Homer. Great episode, season 2, I think.
Well, that's the movie, friends.
Sure was.
And that's the way I died.
I'll do some quick takeaways. Anytime a sports movie, it just blows my mind, like crowds and stuff. Now, this would be obviously easier, but I think of stuff like, again, I think Major League or Naked Gun has the end where it's not a baseball movie, but has a great ending baseball scene, or multiple baseball scenes at the end. But like having crowds, like you just do, yeah. Oh my God, I have to go watch that.
That's a great movie.
Oh, dude, so good. But do you shoot at a real game at the end of it? Do you shoot are you just taking B-roll from an actual Angels game and stuff like that? So it's quite an undertaking. So I respect directors that will take it on. It's pretty fantastic, and this one looked great. So that's a takeaway.
I'll just reiterate. Susan Sarandon
I never was taking that.
Go ahead, Matt. Sorry.
Go ahead, Jeremy.
No, I refuse.
I'm not on the screen. You have to
I can't believe Susan Sarandon was older than Kevin Costner. That's that much older too. Like she was almost 10 years older than him.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think all I was going to say is that it's a baseball movie, and the character that's the glue to like the whole thing is Susan Sarandon's in her performance. Like she's so good in this. I was like, man, I hope she won an Oscar for something. But like, this is a really good performance. She was nominated for Atlantic City, Thelma and Louise, Lorenzo's Oil.
She won for Dead Man Walking.
The Client, and then ultimately won with Dead Man Walking in 1996. But like, this movie is a really, really good performance, and I don't think it works from a lot of other actresses. And I think the movie, I don't know, Kevin Costner is a great leading man, but he's not a high energy actor, and so like I think he works well when he's paired with somebody who's like her character in this movie. And yeah, I thought she was great.
No, it's like a great, sorry, Matt, like a great way to put it and sum it up why it works so well is he's low energy actor, but a really good actor. I buy him as this older baseball player, and then Tim Robbins is being like the goofball, high energy, and her being like she's got an agenda from the get go, ready to go type thing, and he's just there, kind of like hanging out. So yeah, I'm with that. I'm with that a lot, and I do also buy that she's the main lead, the protagonist.
Ronja?
Oh, I think I was just going to say you were talking about the crowd scenes and such. I was like, I never once was ever like, oh, it looks like they just filmed this part in a studio or something
Oh,
like
yeah.
that.
Not at
Or
all.
like, I never really got that feeling. So it was well done that way.
Yeah.
Like I said, all the baseball stuff's great.
What about now, not knowing a lot about baseball, but Tim Robbins does this pitch where he looks away and like it's a very
He uses his
that
third eye or his lizard eye or whatever.
Yeah.
is that I don't know that I've ever seen a pitcher completely turn their back to the batter like that for all the realism of the baseball. That is a thing.
Oh yeah, I've seen it for sure.
Okay, all right, I hadn't seen that before. So
there are some unbelievably weird windups, like double leg kick, like stuff is like the weirdest tick. Like, how did someone ever start doing that? But they're pitching at the major league level in front of tens of thousands of people.
That's what they've always done, and it worked. So yeah, okay.
It's weird. It's weird.
I don't know enough about baseball to know the authenticity of like what I saw, but I never thought about it. And like sometimes when you see really bad sports and sports movies, it like pulls you out of what you're watching. And I never thought about it once during the movie. It all seemed legit to me.
As if you were a heavier baseball fan, like that is a joke upon itself of crazy windups. Like, how crazy can we make it? Like, oh, he's looking out his lava lizard eye from his third, and he has to pitch from the left side, and that's what he's doing wrong. It's like, that's what these people are thinking. Like, I'm not gonna wash my socks because they're lucky socks. Like, don't mess your streak up. So the weirdest thing you think people do, like, people are much weirder than that, which is amusing.
I believe it, especially for as many games as they play.
Yeah,
like a streak in baseball is a big deal. It's not as big of a deal when you win 3 games. Well, I mean, it is a big deal when you win 3 games in a row in the NFL, but like that's 3 instances where the equivalent in baseball is like, what, 20 games probably?
That'd be a long record
games
for sure.
Yeah, so
for sure. Dude, like 5 games in a row is a long streak for baseball. That's hard to do.
Yeah, pretty good. Because usually your starting pitching lineup is not strong enough to carry you for those games.
Yeah,
especially nowadays, man. Like, I mean, there might have been looking it up like last year, like how many complete games were pitched, like incredibly few. Yeah, I mean, it could be.
Probably.
It could be. Bullpen days and stuff. I'll highly recommend, if you like baseball movies or a lighter hearted movie for someone that doesn't necessarily want to watch it as a couple, like as a romantic comedy. I think it works for both. So yeah,
you just got to be aware of. There's a lot of language in this. This is one of the most language heavy movies, definitely of all the movies we've watched so far.
Yeah.
I'm just mentioning that because some people get a little bothered by.
Even worse than Warriors.
Well, I remember my mom. I don't know. We saw something when I was younger, and she didn't realize how much language was going to be it. And she's like, they were just like F this and F that, and just nobody really talks like that. And then I got older, and I was like, well, some people do actually talk like that,
especially in sports. I mean, let's say, especially with a group of, I hate to say, like, I'm sure females do it too, but like, or band practice, like you just talk different. Or like when we're on here, I'm probably cursing way more than I would any other time.
100%.
Because it's just more. You're there. But if I was at work, I wouldn't be like, man, I hate this fucking paper we have to do. Like, I wouldn't say like something like that. No way. Because it's yeah. As we age, it seems, I don't want to say inappropriate, but like, what a waste. Like, we don't need that. We don't need it. Makes it much more valuable when you use them sparingly. But highly recommend for me.
This movie is 97% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, which is pretty tremendous.
Great.
I really like this movie too. It actually took me. I know I made some offhanded comments about Sarandon and like the relationship with the players and all that, but like I actually felt like I kind of needed to digest this movie a little bit, like think about the characters and why they do what they do, and it settled really well. It's definitely something I would want to rewatch because I'll bet this is a movie that you could rewatch with how dialogue heavy it is and how fast some of the dialogue is, you probably pick up some new things every time you watch it.
Oh, yes. And
So,
like I said, with headphones this
but I
time,
really enjoyed it.
cracking up.
Comedies are always a little hard because everybody's got such different senses of it's like a different sense of humor on the things. I don't remember like a ton of stuff that made me like really laugh like I have at some comedies. But I was like, I enjoyed I enjoyed watching the movie all the way through. Like there were parts that I was laughing at, and I think like I was gonna say I think the baseball stuff really helped a lot for like with comedy stuff because you're like, well, even if I don't necessarily laugh at this, I find it interesting from like a baseball perspective because it feels like a realistic portrayal of minor league baseball, and there are funny situations, and the relationships are all growing. And I mean, I'm not the biggest rom-com person either, but I still enjoyed that. It took a little bit longer, and I didn't enjoy that. Like I would say, like the baseball stuff is the top. Then the comedy, like the certain comedy parts of it, and the romantic stuff of it was like below that. But it's not bad, and I enjoyed my time on it. So it's not like I would watch it again, and I might say to Eva, "Hey, you want to try watching this movie? I think you'll enjoy it." And see how I enjoy it with watching it with her, watching it a second time. Um, so yeah, I would recommend people go and watch this movie for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like again, like I would love. I was hoping that somebody had watched it with their significant other because like both of the women in here, especially Susan Sarandon, like is portrayed as a strong. She's not victimized at all. She's not oh woe is me. She's very like and like you were saying earlier, like independent and strong. It's like would women kind of identify with that and like that character a lot? I don't know.
Yeah.
I would think yes. Like oh, it's kind of like a rebellious, strong person. Like, but I don't know.
Well,
Say
I
because
like
I
I like
don't
the
have a
fact
frame of
that
reference.
it's I like the fact that Susan Sarandon and Kevin Costner are both like adults that are like they know who they are.
Yeah,
They
good call.
are they're at part of the relationship is a little bit of a dance about like are we gonna make this happen? Like they talk about like we don't want to take a risk. We don't want to get too close to each other, which happens a lot
Consenting
for people.
adults. No one's being
Yeah.
victimized. Yeah,
Nope.
I agree.
Nope. And
In
it's
fact,
not
you could say
always.
Sarandon is largely more in power for the majority of the
Mhm.
movie than either of the male characters.
Oh, definitely.
Sure.
Yeah.
And it's none of the stuff's always like in relationships now that never everything's clean or it's easygoing and always works out. So it was good to see it work out for them.
I just want
And
to comment too.
I bet you she'd come along with him if he ends up being like a manager in one of the teams and would be very helpful to have as like an assistant manager.
Yeah. I was just going to comment on what you said around the humor. Like, I completely agree. The movie is funny throughout. I don't think it's LOL. Like, so sometimes I'll say a joke and Stacy doesn't laugh. And I'm like, you didn't think it's funny? She's like, well, it was more of an inside laugh. And like, there's a lot of that kind of humor in this where like, it's funny, but I'm not like LOLing rolling on the floor. It's like, it's cute. It's a good interaction, that kind of stuff. And like, I don't think that's a problem or any strike against the movie.
No,
Because
no,
like
no, no.
all the characters are endearing and you're kind of rooting. There's no real villain other than time
No.
and age, I guess you could say, but like you're kind of rooting for everybody to good
Yeah.
things to happen to everybody in the movie.
They're
Whereas,
hoping you
we were just
identify with one of them. Go ahead, Matt Jones.
yeah. I would say we were talking about hot shots, and I was thinking through like stuff that just made me laugh out loud, or Naked Gun. I was watching a old review of that Siskel and Ebert did of Kingpin, and there are like
Mm.
lots of times in that movie, and that I could just think of just laughing out loud because it's so funny. But there's that type of humor, and then there's times of humor that like this, or like there's Monty Python human humor sometimes isn't like it's some of the intellectual humor may not make you laugh out loud, but it's just like you can't believe like, oh, this is really well written, or it's like very humorous, but
Yeah.
it's not like it's in more of a refined way than just like kind of base level humor, which is always great sometimes too.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's fun to
Yeah, for
laugh at
sure.
funny shit.
No doubt. I don't know. It popped me quite a few times. Again, I don't know if it was the first time I watched it or this time it's especially, and it was just microscopic jokes here and there, and especially said who you guys keep on calling him Arliss.
Yeah, Robert Wall.
Like pretty much everything that guy said or every scene he was in, it was like fractions of a second, but everything was just unbelievable. Like you said, they're having that conversation, right? It's funny, 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 and then he comes in and goes, "Well, you know, no," drops his line, and like, I mean, just uproariously funny. So
He was very good.
Yeah. I don't know. It's just yeah, it was great, just great. I dug it, and the fact that they somehow convinced me to watch a romantic comedy, which to your point, Matt Jones, I think I've seen two. This and You've Got Mail, and I've watched this more than once now, and I didn't even know, but that's absolutely what it is. Absolutely what it is. So now I can understand why people I've been with would like those movies, even though I've refused to watch them with them. And I think I don't. And to your point, also, I don't think I'd like it unless it had the baseball overlay. So
Helps a lot.
maybe I'll like For the Love of the Game, but I don't know.
I haven't seen that one. That's Kevin Costner as well, right?
Yep.
Baseball as well, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I think he's a pitcher in this one.
Okay. And we got Tin Cup where he does golf.
I have not seen that, but I heard that's very funny too.
It's kind of close to the same movie.
And Cheech Marin is in it too, right?
It's great. I mean, it's kind of the same movie, and like that should not discourage you from watching it all. It's like if you like this movie and you kind of want to see Kevin Costner play a fairly similar character, it's different thematic elements, and the plot isn't exactly the same, but it like follows a lot of the beats. I think Renee Russo is the female lead. She's not at all the same character, but I really liked it. That's when you asked me if I'd seen this movie. That's what I was thinking.
Since he's been in like 3 of the same sports movies.
Yeah, and then there's another one, right? Oh, Field of Dreams.
Field of Dreams.
He's the general manager of the Cleveland Browns in Draft Day.
Yes, and
wow,
I'm telling you, bros, if you haven't seen Draft Day,
I have not.
That movie is peak cinema.
What year?
I love Draft Day. I watch it every year, the day of the draft. I watch it. I'll put it on while I'm working, and I'll have it on like before the draft. Gets me hyped up that the Colts are going to do something they won't, of course.
Oh my! What are we watching next week? I got to go pee really bad, so and I'm sure you guys have to go to bed.
Tin Cup.
I don't have that on there. I don't know what you're. But I was going to say really, really quick. Sorry, I know we've ended the movie. About the what did you say about the the baseball is kind of realistic in background compared to something like Slapshot, which is complete tomfoolery, jackassery type sports movie with kind of a little. There's actually not a love story at all. They're supposed to be, but it doesn't really happen. So
I haven't seen Slapshot before.
I know, and I'm not recommending that
you have it though, right?
I do.
But you don't recommend it.
I mean, I recommend watching it. I don't know if we need to do a back-to-backer though.
Okay.
Like I don't know if it would but again, I don't know. Pull the list up and we can. If nothing else, I say okay. That'll be our backup if we can think of nothing else to throw down.
Hot Shots is not available.
I mean, it's not in my list. I could check and see if it's on $5 Club and get back to you.
Or Loaded Weapon.
Loaded Weapon 1.
I haven't seen that movie in a long time.
I do have Dracula Dead and Loving It.
I've never seen that.
It's
Leslie Nielsen, right? But is it Lampoon's People?
It's Mel Brooks.
Oh, it is. Okay.
This is what I will say about Dracula Dead and Loving It. It is the most accurate retelling of Dracula that I have seen. As far as like, if you've never read the book, actually I really like the book a lot, but it's very similar to the book, despite it being a comedy, and it's not that much comedy, much less than you think. So it might be an interesting watch, but yeah,
interesting.
It's very much so. I did not like it as a kid. When I got it for $5 and watched it as an adult, I was like, wow, this is actually really, really good retelling of Dracula.
Say we do one of the Hitchcock movies.
Okay.
You got The Birds. You got Dial M for Murder. I don't know if I've ever seen that one.
Stranger on a Train.
Strangers on a Train. The Man Who Knew Too Much. North by Northwest, which I've seen North by Northwest a long time ago.
What about The Man Who Knew Too Little?
I'm not
With
gonna
Bill
watch
Murray?
that Bill Murray
The
movie.
Bill Murray. I've never seen it.
Take
I've got
it. Yeah, that's
Vertigo's
my
on there as
recommendation.
well.
Vertigo, Psycho. Yeah,
Psycho.
I
Okay.
haven't seen. I actually haven't seen half of those
I think
movies.
Rear Window I've got on there too.
Hitchcock
I've
movie
seen
would be
Rear
cool.
Window.
Like,
I've got a lot.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Somebody.
you do.
Okay. Well, somebody pick one. I'm good for any of them.
You know what? We're gonna surprise the OMIO audience. So we're gonna tease it. You'll see a Hitchcock movie on the next episode of OMIO. But which one will it be? So Troy can go
I
to the
would just
bathroom.
recommend watching all of them so you're prepared.
Oh no, I was just.
Yep.
Are you ready? Okay. Do you want me to end the show?
That's
And the
what,
show-yo? Okay.
The show, yo.
Yeah. All right. And recording. Thank. Yes. Fourth duck. End. End. End.